Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 17, Text number 8. The demigoddess Aditi said, Yagna Isha, O controller of all sacrificial ceremonies, Yagna Purusha, the person who enjoys the benefits of all sacrifices, Achyuta, infallible, Tirthapada, at whose lotus feet stand all the holy places of pilgrimage, Tirthashravaha, celebrated as the ultimate shelter of all saintly persons, Shravana, hearing about whom, Mangala, is auspicious, Namadeya, to chant his name is also auspicious, Apana, surrendered, Loka, of people, Vijina, dangerous material position, Upashama, diminishing, Udhaya, who has appeared, Adya, the original personality of Godhead, Sham, auspiciousness, Na, our, Kridhi, kindly bestow upon us, Isha, O Supreme Controller, Bhagavan, O Lord, Asi, you are, Dina Nata, the only shelter of the downtrodden. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The goddess Aditi said, O Master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O original supreme personality of Godhead, supreme controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of those who observe vows and austerities, and it is He who bestows benedictions upon them. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. As he says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord is addressed here as Achyutya, the infallible, because he takes care of his devotees. Anyone inimical to the devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is the source of the Ganges water, and therefore he is addressed here as Tirthapada, indicating that all the holy places are at his lotus feet, or that whatever he touches with his feet becomes a holy place. Bhagavad Gita, for example, begins with the words Dharma Kshetre, Kuru Kshetre. Because the Lord was present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it became a Dharma Kshetra, a place of pilgrimage. Therefore the Pandavas, who were extremely religious, were assured of victory. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead displays his pastimes, such as Vrindavan or Dwarka, becomes a holy place. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. owing to the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi was fully assured that the troublesome condition created for her by the demons would now be ended. Vanchakalpatarubhaischa kripasindubhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. This verse was spoken by Mother Aditi. Who is Mother Aditi? She is the mother of all the demigods. So in so many Hindu temples they are worshipping many gods, and Aditi is the mother of them all. And how does she pray? Who does she worship? Right? If we worship the demigods, why don't we see who the mother of the demigods, who is the superior to all the demigods, who is she worshipping? Yeah, very clearly in the previous verse. Vasudeva. Who is Vasudeva? The son of Vasudeva. Who is Vasudeva and Devaki? The father and mother of Lord Krishna. So who does the mother of all the demigods worship? Lord Krishna. Therefore, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arda Sarvrita. Krishna alone is the supreme controller. Everyone else is his servant. They dance as he makes them dance. Yara yache nachaya se taiche kore nritya. So Krishna is being described here, or you can say God is being defined here. Sometimes people want to know what is God or who is God. If they read this verse today, they will get a very clear idea. Yagnesha. Krishna is called Yagna Isha. He is the controller of all sacrificial ceremonies. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheswaram. Krishna is meant to be the enjoyer of all sacrifices. In the Gita it is stated that anyone who offers sacrifices to other gods does so without proper understanding. Because Krishna alone is meant to be worshipped, and Krishna alone is the person who bestows the boons which persons seek while worshipping other gods. Therefore, he is the controller of all sacrificial ceremonies. Even if you worship so many gods or goddesses, but if you fail to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sacrifice is considered to be a failure. Just as by pouring water on the leaves or branches of a tree doesn't necessarily mean that the tree will become healthy. If you want to water a tree, how should you do it? Pour the water on the root. So, the root, sarva karana karanam, the cause of all causes, is Sri Krishna. So we must understand, therefore, sacrifices are meant for his satisfaction alone. Yagna Purush, the person who enjoys the benefits of all sacrifices, that we have explained. Ultimately, it is Krishna. And if Krishna is pleased, what will happen? Automatically, every other living entity will be pleased. Just like by pouring water on the root of a tree, all the leaves, all the branches, they become watered. Achyuta. Achyuta means that he is infallible. His word can never be made wrong. He can never be defeated in any way. Therefore, it is seen that when Arjuna and the Pandavas were fighting at Kurukshetra, when in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Sanjay was narrating to Dhritarashtra, he explained, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveda Yuyutsava. They have now assembled on the battlefield to fight. And Kurukshetra, that battlefield known as Kurukshetra, has now become Dharma Kshetra. Why has Kurukshetra become Dharma Kshetra? Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is present there. Krishna is the basis of all Dharma. As soon as Krishna is present, the sacrifice, is there. It begins, and it becomes successful. In other words, when during the time, in previous ages, they used to perform sacrifices. I am sure many of you have seen fire sacrifice, right? Agnihotra, Havan, right? I'm sure you've seen it. Did you see the demigods come from the space? Did you see demigods float down from outer space? Has anyone seen that? No. But in the past yuga, that used to happen. It is explained that in the past age, when Parikshit Maharaj, for example, was so pious, even in the beginning of this age of Kali, that the demigods would personally be visible to ordinary persons. To ordinary persons. So, nowadays we can't see this. But in the previous time, it was so. And when Krishna himself, or his expansion, Lord Narayan, or Vishnu, came down on that sacrifice, it was understood that now the Yagna Ishvara, the supreme person who is the controller of the Yagna, is present. It will be a sure success. He's infallible. If one takes shelter of Krishna, he cannot be defeated. And to ensure that he will not be defeated, to ensure that his devotee will never be defeated, Krishna tells Arjuna, you can declare it boldly. Prabhupada quotes this verse, Konteya pratajanihi name bhakta pranashati. You can declare it boldly. My devotee will never be defeated. So, each one of us has so many things to accomplish in this lifetime. How will we be sure that we will be successful in our mission, whatever it may be? Here is given the secret. You simply have to take shelter of Krishna and become his devotee. Never mind what you want to accomplish, whatever it may be. If you're Krishna's devotee, Krishna says, declare it boldly, my devotee will not be defeated. It cannot fail. So, different persons have different desires. Akama sarva kamara, muksha kamo dadadi, tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Persons have many desires. Just like this mother of the demigods. What was her desire? Her sons had lost the kingdom of heaven to the demons, because the demons were headed by a very powerful person, Bali Maharaj. So she wanted to get back her home for her sons. That's natural for a mother. So what did she do? Her husband told her, pray to Vasudeva Krishna. Is Vasudeva Krishna? Is four-armed Krishna. Krishna has how many arms? 2 arms. So how is it that Krishna here says, it says in the previous verse that he has 4 arms? Why? Huh? What expansion? No, it is not right. Huh? It's Krishna in Dwarka. Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Mathura sometimes has 2 arms and sometimes he is seen with 4 arms. He is said to have both. Rupa Goswami has described this in Laghu Bhagavatamrita. That sometimes the Lord shows 2 arms in Mathura and Dwarka and sometimes 4 arms. Tirthapad, at whose lotus feet stand all the places of pilgrimage. Prabhupada refers to the fact the Lord is a source of the Ganges water and therefore he is addressed as Tirthapad. You know the Leela when Krishna killed the bull, Aristasura. Then the gopis told him, keep away from us. Why did the gopis say that Krishna should keep away? Because he killed a bull. A bull is considered, cows and bulls are father and mother, right? If someone kills a father and mother, It's a very sinful thing, isn't it? So the gopis said, "You are now contaminated, Krishna. Keep away from us." He said, "Wait a moment. That was not just an ordinary bull. That was Asura. He was a demon. He needed to be killed." They said, "Well, you're contaminated. You'll have to go and take bath in all the holy places in India, all the holy rivers." What did Krishna do? He immediately stamped his foot down in that spot. And as soon as he pressed his foot into the ground, it made a deep impression. And all the sacred rivers from all over India, they came and filled up that place. And they formed a big kund, a pond. And then Krishna took his bath there. He said, "All right, now I'm purified." What is the name of that kund? Huh? Huh? No, Shamakund. Shamakund, the place where Krishna took his bath. So then what did Krishna say? He said, "Now I'm purified, but I don't want to associate with you gopis." Why? Because you have taken the side of a demon. This Aristasura was a demon and you have defended him. So you're all contaminated. So what did he say? He said, "Now you should all take your bath and get purified." So what happened? The gopis started to do what? They took off their bangle and they started to dig down into the ground and make a kund. And they became so much perspiration was coming. What happened? Huh? The Krishna saw the gopis were straining like this to make their own kund. So he requested all the sacred rivers to do what? Huh? Yes, he said, he told all the holy rivers who were gathered in his kund that you take shelter of Srimati Radharani, request that you can come into her kund. So all the water flowed over the bank and it went into the next kund or lake. And it filled that up. And the gopis took their bath there. What is the name of that lake? Huh? Radha Kund. And Radharani declared that anyone who takes a bath in Krishna's Shama Kund will become so dear to me. And Krishna declared that anybody who takes bath in Radha Kund will be so dear to me. So devotees always feel very fortunate to be able to take the water from Radha Kund and Shama Kund on their head. This is the month of Kartik. Today is the last day of this important month. Is it the last day of the month? Huh? No, you said it's not the last day of the month. What's wrong with you? Don't you know? How can the 28th of the month be the last day? How many days are in the month of November? See? You don't even know the most simple thing and you claim to be their teacher. Well, which is it? Is today the last day or is the 30th the last day? Today is the last day of the lunar month. When you got up this morning and you came from the other building into this building, did you notice the moon? It was very bright. Did you look up in the sky or you were just running as fast as you could to get out of the cold? Did anyone see the moon this morning? What was the special quality of the moon? It's a full moon. Full moon. It's the last day, and today and tomorrow is the new month. So, there's two ways of making a calendar. What is the way of making a calendar according to the Vedas? According to the phases of the moon. Lunar calendar, it's called. And what is the way that the people of the fallen races make their moon? They make their calendar by the sun. Okay, now you understand? Today is the last day. And this past month has been a very auspicious month. It's called Kartik. It's a special month. Did you see the picture on the altar where Krishna is being tied with a rope by his mother? What is he called when he's tied up like this? Damodar. This is the month of Damodar. So anyone who offers a light to Krishna, offers a candle or a light to Krishna in this month, definitely will become a devotee of Krishna. So you see, you have all been trapped and tricked. Now you're all destined to become devotees of Krishna. So no use resisting anymore. You might as well just get on with the business and all become advanced devotees of the Lord. Because you have offered a flame. Krishna saw it. You may say, well, I didn't know that was what it meant. But once you have made an offering, you can't take it back. You see? Tirthapada. So this is Krishna. He is Tirthapad, at whose lotus feet stand all the holy places of pilgrimage. When you worship Krishna, when you come to Krishna's temple, it's as good as if you have done the Tirtha Yatra. You have gone to visit all the holy places, and you didn't have to go to India to do it. Simply by coming in this temple and having darshan of Krishna, you have seen all the places of pilgrimage, because they're all at His lotus feet. Because He's the Supreme Lord. This is why we simply need to worship Krishna. There is no need to worship anyone else, because everyone else worships Him. There was a story about one I have told this story too so many times, but one lady, she was an old lady. There was the governor was visiting. The governor, it was in a village in India. The governor was visiting the villages of his province, state. So he came to his province, and when he came there, normally the older people come, and the governor will show some respect for the elderly people. So one old lady who was in the village, right? She was like 90 years old. She told the governor. The governor is a very big person, right? She said that he said, "Give me your blessings," he told her, because normally you ask older people for their blessings. So she blessed him, that I bless you, that in your next lifetime you can become the police chief of this village. What do you think of that? The governor thought, what is that? I'm already the governor. The police, this is just one little village. I have control over thousands of villages. But according to this lady, she didn't know anything beyond her village. She never went to another town. So as far as she was concerned, the biggest person she ever met was the police chief. So she thought she was giving the governor a real boon. You see? So this is the position of persons who don't know. They have not gone beyond their village. They only know this god or that god, this demigod or that demigod. And so they pray thinking that this god or that demigod is the supreme. But anyone who has a proper understanding of Scripture will understand that actually Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So, He is the Supreme Lord. He's Param Ishvara. So, at whose lotus feet stand all the holy places of pilgrimage. Now, Krishna is called Tirthapada, but a devotee is also a place of pilgrimage. The lotus feet of a pure devotee are also a place of pilgrimage. Everyone wants to have darshan of Krishna's lotus feet. But what does Krishna want? What does Krishna want? He's the Supreme Lord. Everyone wants to take darshan, to see and touch Krishna's lotus feet. What does Krishna want? He wants the dust from the feet of His devotees. In one of the Puranas it is mentioned that once Krishna was in Dwarka and Narad Muni was with him, and he saw that Krishna was having some problem. He said, "What is wrong?" And Krishna was apparently having a headache. He said, "I have a headache." Narad Muni said, "What can we do for it?" He said, "The only thing that will remove this headache is I need the dust from the feet of my devotees." He said, "Narad, can you give me the dust from your feet?" He said, "I can't do that. You're my master. How can I possibly do that? It's impossible for me to think of doing such a thing. Krishna said, well, I have a headache. He said, I just can't do that. He said, get me the dust from somebody's feet. So Narad went to all the queens of Dwarka. They wouldn't do it. Because a wife will never put the dust of her feet on her husband's head. A wife respects her husband so much, how can she take the dust from her feet and put it on her husband's head? They wouldn't do it. So he went everywhere. No one was willing to do it. Then he finally went to Vrindavan. Even there he went to Yasoda, Nanda. Nobody was willing to do it. But when he came to the gopis, they asked, how is Krishna? He has a headache. Oh, what can we do? He says that he needs the dust from the feet of his devotees. Immediately, the gopis went to a very dusty place and they started walking all over the place. And each of them was picking up so much dust and carrying it in bags and bringing it to Narad Muni. And finally Narad had so much dust, every single gopi gave him so much dust. Narad said, aren't you worried about doing this? Don't you think that you may go to hell? They said, we don't care. If Krishna will be relieved of his headache, we don't mind if we go to hell. Actually, Krishna arranged this pastime, this lila, simply to glorify the position of the gopis. To show that no one, anywhere, is equal to the gopis. Their devotion for Krishna, their desire to please Krishna is beyond everyone else's. So that dust was taken back to Dwarka, and it was put in a place, and that's place, the dust became mixed with the earth, and that's where Gopi Chandan comes from. Sometimes we hear Krishna made his tilak, you see, from this dust and earth. It became mixed with water, and it makes the tilak on Krishna's head. And Krishna declares that anybody that puts this Gopi Chandan on his forehead as tilak becomes most dear to him. Because this Gopi Chandan has become touched by the... You see, it is in touch with the lotus feet of the gopis. Therefore, Gopi Chandan. Just like when Lord Chaitanya was traveling in the South India, he was chanting Harinam, and anyone who would come in contact with him would also become full of ecstasy of love for Krishna. And anyone who came in contact with them, they also became in ecstasy. So this dust that was brought to Dwarka, because sometimes people wonder, did the gopis go to Dwarka? Why does Gopi Chandan come from Dwarka? Actually, it comes from Dwarka, so no one can figure, well, why is it? Because this was the dust that brought by Narad Muni from the gopis' lotus feet. So, here it is said that the lotus feet of the Lord are the place of all pilgrimage, of all the holy places. But we say that even better than the lotus feet of the Lord's being the place of pilgrimage, the lotus feet of the devotees of the Lord is so sacred that the Lord himself takes the dust from the devotees' feet on his head. Therefore, to take shelter of a devotee of the Lord is considered to be even greater fortune than to take shelter of the Lord himself. And Krishna himself declares this. Anyone who says he is my devotee, he's not my devotee. But whoever says he's the devotee of my devotee, he is really my devotee. Therefore, we give so much respect to the spiritual master. We are offering the Guru Puj today to Prabhupada. Why? Because Krishna becomes so pleased to see his devotee worshipped. Some man, right? And you are very respectful towards him. He will like you. But if you show some special kindness to his son or child, that makes him even more pleased. Isn't that true? If your father sees or mother sees that you are being appreciated by someone, the father and mother become more pleased with you than if we directly try to please the father and mother. Isn't that true? Because why? Because they love their children. So when Krishna sees that his devotee is being appreciated and praised, he becomes more pleased even than if we directly praise him. Therefore, how do we address Krishna? Do we say, just Krishna, Krishna? No, we say Hare Krishna. Who is Hare? That is Radharani. Before we address Krishna, we say Yasoda Nandan. We address Krishna as the son of Yasoda. Arjun Krishna. We address Krishna as the friend of Arjun. In each case, we always name the devotee first. And as soon as we name Krishna as devotee, Krishna immediately picks up his ears. Who is calling my devotee? Who is that? And then we say, Krishna, yes, yes. There's a better way to get Krishna's attention. So, the service of the devotees is so important. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Gorda Mara Jai Shabastani Karalo Pramana Range Se Sabastan Heribo Ame Pranaya Bhakta Sange. I want to go to all the places of pilgrimage, he says. But in what way? In the Pranayi Bhakta Sange, in the association of the Lord's devotees. This is so important. Just like you could have been in your house today, right, this morning. Probably some of you wish you were in your house. You're feeling so tired. You're thinking, what am I doing? It's Sunday morning. They got me up at 4 o'clock. Am I dreaming or am I awake? Or what is this? But I think if you were in your house this morning, there's no way that you would have gotten up this early. There is no way you would have done all this service to Krishna. You've already chanted Hare Krishna. You went to Mangal Arati. Some of you are dancing like madmen. Some of the girls were dancing like mad girls, mad women. So how has all of this happened? Bhakta Sangi. By the association of devotees this happens. This is the effect of a sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha. But you have to know how to recognize a sadhu. So many people will come, apparently they're sadhu. So you have to know how to recognize a sadhu. You see? You have to see the nature of a sadhu, the qualities of a sadhu. So, these are descriptions of Krishna. Tirtha Shravha, celebrated as the ultimate shelter of all saintly persons. This is how you know who's a sadhu. You see? Tirtha Shravha. He is the shelter of all saintly persons. So if someone says that they are a sadhu, what is the first thing we want to know? If you're a sadhu, then please tell me, who is your Ishtadeva? Who is your worshipable Lord? That's the first question to ask. If someone is speaking, someone is lecturing, someone says they're a sadhu, the first question to ask them is, please tell me, who is your worshipable Lord? Now we want to hear if they say Krishna or not. If they say anyone else, you should say, why? Why are you worshipping so-and-so or so-and-so? Don't you know that Krishna is the ultimate Supreme Lord? That by worshipping Him, everything else will be done? You're a sadhu. You're supposed to be knowing the proper conclusion of Scripture. Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda vedeva chaham. You're supposed to know that the goal of all the Vedas is to know Krishna. Don't you know these things? You're a sadhu. You're a big celebrated speaker on Bhagavad Gita, on Srimad Bhagavatam, on Ramayana, on Mahabharata. Everyone knows you. You have thousands of people hearing your lectures. Oh, sadhu. You can tell them, don't you know what the conclusion ultimately is to worship Krishna? Why don't you teach that? And what is the way to worship Krishna? That is also mentioned here. Shravana Mangala Namadeya. Hearing the holy name of the Lord. Whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune. Why don't you tell everyone, oh sadhu? You should say like this. The next time you meet some sadhu, or someone advertised such a sadhu, that the holy name of Krishna brings all good fortune to the whole world. Why don't you spread the holy name of Krishna? It will do good for the whole world. We see that is happening practically. Hare Krishna movement is spreading all over the world. Why? Because this is the method of spreading God consciousness in the Kali Yuga. No other means is so effective. No other way will work. Not in this age. No other way will be so effective as for purifying a person's heart. The holy name of Krishna is so good. Kaler dosha nide rajan asti hi eko mahadguna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. This verse was spoken in the 12th canto by Sukadeva Goswami. 12th canto. Srimad Bhagavatam has 12 cantos. The final canto is the 12th canto. At the end of speaking the whole Bhagavatam, it is mentioned there, my dear king, there is nothing in the Kali Yuga, which is, in the Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Still, there is one good quality in this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can get free from material bondage and be promoted to the kingdom of God. Right at the end of the Bhagavatam, the Hare Krishna mantra is glorified. That although this Kali Yuga, which is now coming, and now we are really in the Kali Yuga, it's so problematic. There's one good quality. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, you can get liberated from the material existence and be promoted to kingdom of God. So when we ask you every day to chant Hare Krishna, and you tell us, oh, I have no time. I have my studies. I have my work. I have my family. I have so many excuses. If you would just stop giving excuses, in the same time it takes you to give all your excuses, you could be chanting at least 4 rounds. What is more important? Do you really think that you're going to be happy in the material world? You really think so? Have you met anyone who is perfectly happy in this material world? Tell me, have you met anyone? Then why are you so foolish as to think that you can be better than all of the others? You're going to be able to figure out for the first time what no one else could do. Just like it is said, when Yugadharma Maharaj met Yamaraj, he asked him, answered this question, what is the most amazing thing that you have ever seen? Do you know what he answered? What? What do you think he answered? New York City? What do you think he thought was the most amazing thing that Maharaj Yudhisthira said, I've ever seen? Maharaj Yudhisthira, he had seen so many things. He had seen demigods, he had seen great asuras, he had seen practically everything there is to see in the whole universe he could see. And what did Maharaj Yudhisthira answer? Do you know? He said, the most amazing thing I have ever seen is that although everyone will die sooner or later, each person thinks that they alone will never die. Although their father's father, everyone has always died, somehow they think they're not going to die. Now you may see you're looking puzzled. You're saying, well, that's ridiculous. Everybody knows they're going to die. You may say so, but are you acting as if you're going to die at any moment? He was very smart, Yugadharma Maharaj. He meant to say, people may say, well, I know I'm going to die, but when you see how they're behaving, does it look like they know they're going to die? In terms of their behavior, does it really look like they know they're going to die? If someone knows he's going to die, would he be very attached to so many things in this world? If you knew that one day you're going to die and you're going to have to give up everything, and you really knew it, why would you ever bother to become attached to anything? If you knew that you're going to die tonight, would you be very attached to anything? What would be the use of it? What would you care anymore? Can you say you're not going to die tonight? Are you sure of it? Can anybody be sure of it? So what is a wise man? A wise man thinks, at any moment I may die. And therefore, he remains detached all the time. Understand the point? So Maharaj Yudhisthira's point was, the most amazing thing I see is that despite the fact that everyone knows they're going to die, they act as if they're not going to die. They remain so attached to their home, to their families, to their friends, to society, to their egos, to all of their goals, their desires. They are attached like anything. He said, I think this is the most amazing. And he said, everyone is like this. It's not just true for some, it's true straight across. This is amazing. Very hard to understand this point. It's very hard to apply this, even though you may understand this point theoretically. I guarantee you, you are going to be part of the amazing thing that Maharaj Yudhishthira was talking about. Because right after you walk out of it, you'll forget this, and you'll start acting attached like anything. You, me, we will all do that. Therefore Maharaj Yudhishthira said, this is amazing. Then, he said, Krishna is the shelter of all poor, suffering, living entities. Who is he talking about? The homeless? Those who are jobless? Isn't he talking about them? Who do you think Krishna is talking about? All poor, suffering, living entities? All the people in Yugoslavia, right? That's who he's talking about? All of us. He's talking about everyone who is in this material world. 3 types of klesha. Klesha means misery. There are 3 types of misery. Do you know what they are? One is miseries caused by nature. For example, what is an example of that? Huh? Okay, what else? What else? What else? Right, now it's getting closer to home. Cold weather, right? That's a misery, that's a klesha. Miseries caused by nature, okay? Then, what else? Miseries caused by your body or your mind. What kind of miseries of the body are there? Diseases of all types. What are the miseries of the mind? Anxiety, fear. Huh? What do you say? Huh? Stress. Right. Okay? Those are miseries of the mind. Is anyone free from those miseries? Can anyone say they've never been sick their whole life? Can anyone say they don't suffer from nature's arrangements? And what's the last type of suffering? Miseries caused by other living entities. What kind of other living entities cause misery? Name some of them.
Demons.
Demon? What demons? Thieves. What else? Mosquitoes. What else? Spiders. What else? Huh? Other people. That's more like it. I think we get more problems from other people than we do from mosquitoes and flies. What kind of people give us misery? Huh? Greedy people? Ignorant people? Wait a moment. Who would be in the category of ignorant people that give you trouble? Huh? Murderers? Why don't you come closer to home? Killers? What does ignorance mean? To not know. Remember yesterday we said, what's the difference between knowledge and ignorance? Knowledge means to know what? The difference between matter and spirit. If someone doesn't know the difference, they're in ignorance. And what is one of the causes of suffering? Ignorant people dealing with you. Actually, we get suffering conditions from practically so many living entities. We're being so... what does Krishna say here? You appear to diminish the suffering of all poor living and suffering living entities. How does Krishna do this? How does he do it? How would Krishna be able to diminish your suffering? Gita, what's your answer? And what, she said, it's our love for Krishna. And what makes us love Krishna? What about Krishna makes us love him? And what about Him makes us love Him? His beauty, what else? His form, His pastimes. Right, these are the things. This is how Krishna reduces our suffering. He allows us to love Him. And to love Him means to see His beautiful form, to hear His wonderful activities, to be in association with His devotees. And by doing those things, what happened? It's a miracle, but we don't feel like suffering anymore. We don't have any suffering feelings. So sometimes people ask, you mean a devotee never suffers? You mean a devotee never gets old, doesn't get diseases? A devotee gets old, a devotee has diseases, but he doesn't suffer in a normal way. Because he's always absorbed in remembering Krishna, he's very tolerant of these things. He has a better thing going on within him. So he can tolerate it. Just like when you go through an operation, they cut your body. Do you feel the pain? Why?
Anesthesia.
Anesthesia. So Krishna consciousness is like a conscious anesthesia. It makes you able to tolerate all kinds of suffering, but you're fully conscious. Is it valuable, therefore? Is it a valuable thing, Krishna consciousness? Very valuable? Very, very valuable? Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you be Krishna conscious? Very good. Yes, every day we should spend some time for Krishna consciousness. How many hours a day do you sleep? 6 or 7 hours? Why? So that you can remain healthy? Right? Why do you eat food? So you can be nourished? Why do we do all the things we're doing? To help ourselves, to protect ourselves. But there's very little time we give for Krishna consciousness, which is the best nourishment, the best protection anyone can have. But if we say, spend 2 hours a day chanting your rounds, impossible. Spend 7 hours a day sleeping. Oh, that I can do. Spend an hour a day eating. Okay. An hour a day taking showers. Okay. 7 hours a day going to school. Fine. Spend 2 hours chanting. Oh, really? Is it really necessary? What is this called? Ignorance. Ignorance. Do you have the time to chant if you really wanted to? How many rounds a day should we chant? 16 rounds. How old do you have to be to chant 16 rounds? Is there any age limit? Does it say in the Vedas that you can't chant 16 rounds if you're only 15? Have you read that in the Bhagavad Gita or anywhere in the Vedas? Does it say that? Does it say if you get to be 50 you shouldn't chant 16 rounds? There's no such statement like that. It's for everyone. Krishna consciousness is for everyone. He says, Aditi says, please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Now, according to what kind of devotee you are, this verse will be interpreted in different ways. This verse can also be spoken by the gopis. Their fortune will be completely different. Actually, this verse sounds so much like the prayers of the gopis. When Krishna disappeared from the rasa dance, and the gopis were praying for Krishna to come back, this verse sounds exactly as they have spoken. Please give us your shelter. Please appear before us. Please spread our good fortune. So, the verses of the Bhagavatam are actually applicable to every type of devotee. And each type of devotee will read the verse in a different way. This is called one's bhav. Bhav means the particular type of loving emotion that one has in one's heart will determine the way in which one reads these verses. Sometimes people say, how is it that, for example, Srimati Radharani's name is not in the Bhagavatam? Actually, her name is there all over the Bhagavatam. This is nothing but a Bhagavatam glorifying Radharani. But you have to have that proper mood of service to Radharani to be able to see this. According to one's particular loving mood, one will be able to see each verse glorifying Krishna according to that mood. So for now we can read and appreciate these verses according to our level of understanding, but we should see that within the words of the Bhagavatam, everything is there. Everything possible that we need for nourishing our love for Krishna is there, but it requires proper guidance and direction. So let us stop here. She has a special tilak that she wears. It's not shaped in the form of lotus foot, but she has a special bindi that she wears. We don't make it the right way. Nobody knows how to make it, but it's described in scripture. It's not just a dot. It's made with special designs to attract Krishna. Andrew Nilamani. 9 types of service and association with Krishna we talked about yesterday. She said, well, today you talked about chanting. Supposing someone says, well, I won't do chanting, I'll do the other. But within all of the others, the chanting is included. Chanting is basic to all the other 8. The name of Krishna appears in all the other forms. When hearing, what are you hearing? Krishna's name. When remembering, what are you remembering? Krishna's name. Everything. When serving the lotus feet of the Lord, everything comes with Krishna's name. Vandanam, Archanam, all of these activities involve chanting. Chanting is basic to everything. Open up his Aishvarya position to the residents of Vrindavan. Just like he opened up his mouth. Krishna one time ate dirt. At least his brother Balaram told his mother, Krishna's eating dirt. So she called Krishna, did you eat any dirt? He said, no. My brother is just telling stories. It's not true. So she said, I want to see. If you haven't eaten any dirt, open your mouth. So Krishna opened his mouth, and what did Mother Yasoda see? She saw so many universes inside his mouth. And in each universe, she saw herself looking within Krishna's mouth. And she saw all the planets, all the universes, right in the mouth of Krishna. And then what happened? She thought, oh, what happened to me? I must have gotten dizzy or something. But for a moment there, she saw the opulence of God. So sometimes Krishna opens up the opulence to his devotees of Vrindavan. And then immediately Mother Yasoda thought, oh no, it's just, I'm dizzy, that's all. Gopis may sometimes call Krishna like this, but they don't think like that. They don't want Paramatma meditation. There's no way where the gopis say, we want to meditate upon you as Paramatma. They say, since you know everything, you come in front of us. They're using all of these statements. They're not saying it with the mood of a yogi who worships Paramatma. Everything the gopis say, they say with a particular slant. They put a spin on the words. They have their own idea of how to say it. Their purpose is to make Krishna appear. So they'll say so many things. But they're not in the mood of someone who's worshipping Paramatma. Oh, you are so great, you are so great. They're not thinking like this. They use these words just to get him to come. And then as soon as he appears, then they deal with him in their own way. They trick him. He refused for the purpose of making Krishna's pastime, making Krishna's purpose fulfilled, which is that, at least it is said, so far I have heard this pastime, it is said in the Purana, that everyone was approached, even in Braj, and they refused. So I can only understand that Krishna must have influenced them, because from the point as you're making of rasa, it's not inconsistent. A father or mother could easily give their foot dust. But somehow it's mentioned like that. That Narad went and asked the different people of Braj, and only the gopis would do this. So It is to show the ultimate glory of the gopis. Maybe Krishna influenced them in such a way to think like that somehow. But nobody else could give but the gopis.
You say,
The idea is, the question is that if we are told to follow in the footsteps of the gopis, what if someone has eternally a relationship with Krishna as a friend rather than a lover? How can he follow in the footsteps of the gopis? The example is shown by Uddhava. Uddhava has the feeling of friendship and servitude towards Krishna. So when he went to Vrindavan and saw the loving devotion of the gopis, he realized no one is a greater devotee of God than the gopis. So he prayed to get the dust of the feet of the gopis. He prayed to be born as a blade of grass in Braj, to get the gopis' foot dust. But he never prayed to become a gopi. He prayed for the strength of devotion that the gopis have for Krishna, that he could serve Krishna in his particular relationship with Krishna with the equal strength that the gopis have.
my question is this lila
Logical, but it's not inconsistent. In other words, a person who sees someone else more surrendered will still think, let me have that degree of love or surrender. Maybe logically, from an objective point of view, we say what they can't. But the person himself will not think that. So from a subjective point of view, one who sees, like Uddhava, didn't think, I shouldn't pray like that. He thought, they have it, they can give it to me. They can give me that intensity of love. But we will say, actually no one can achieve it but the gopis. But it doesn't mean to say that by their mercy someone couldn't get a stronger degree of love in their relationship. So even if it won't come to the degree of surrender of the gopis, it will come to more than what they had to begin with. So still there's an advantage to praying to the gopis and following their footsteps. So when it says to follow in the footsteps of the gopis, it can be taken in two ways. Either it can be taken that we should pursue, that the followers of Mahaprabhu generally pursue Madhurya Ras, or it can be taken also that we pray for the gopis' mercy, that in whatever relationship we have, that it can be intensified more and more.